ancients, when referring to the soul within an individual, describe the individual as a scroll that's coiled tightly. In those times, information and learning were written on scrolls. Scrolls were rolled up, and they didn't have printing presses. And so you needed a scribe to write a scroll. And the elite were literate, and they had libraries of scrolls that they could uncoil and read from. The mystics relate that each individual within their soul is a sacred text, a scroll that is bound tightly. And their duty while on this world is to work at the sacred task of uncoiling that scroll, reading from it, standing in its wisdom, to testify to its wisdom through the reflection of your eyes, to the grace of your heart. There is no guru or spiritual teacher that within the sacred prison of spirituality would say to another, my truth is your truth. You must acquiesce and grow to my truth. For that is at odds with the principle that within each individual is a sacred scroll of truth that is unlike another. It is like you are approaching a countryside where miners have come forward and said that they have discovered gems and precious jewels. And you wish to obtain your share. And when you go to the mystic, you say to the mystic, I would like to obtain jewels and treasures. And the true mystic will say to you that I can show you where to dig, but the digging you must do yourself. This is an old analogy, but it holds true. No one can do the digging for you. Individuals can show you where to dig. You can clean your tools. Train you how to dig better, more directly. But the digging you must do yourself, because the scroll is yours. It's not for another. The treasure that you are digging for is the very light from which you were hewn. It's irreplaceable. There's no one that can replicate it. And the world needs it in a profound way. The harmony on this world is dependent upon the truth of each individual. So the individual is sacred. Every soul that incarnates into physical form for a linear journey every single one is an incarnation of a particular creative consonant, a frequency, a vibration of the source, of the creator, of divinity, of the eternal. The birthright of each soul is the creative consonance through which it was created. That creative tonality, that harmonics plays for all eternity. We call that melody, that resonance, that vibration that is catalyzing creation, the higher self. The higher self is boundless. It exists outside of time itself. It is a line where the creator and the created blur. There is no clear line where the notion of the divine, of God, of the Almighty ends and the higher self begins. Each incarnation that comes to this world is a fragment of the greater soul. The incarnation agrees to experiment within the confines of time, of contrast, of linearity, of polarity, of differentiation. Aspects of the higher self are seated within your reference to the past, and they are seated into your reference of the future. These fragments are not you, but they are of the same harmonics, the same creative signature. Each fragment is linked to the other like a chain. What affects one fragment has repercussions on all the others. The fragments in the future are very advanced, as they have advanced to directly integrate with the creative chords emanating from their higher self and utilize that creative vibrancy to catalyze a harmonization for all of creation. Fragments seated in the past are more often not as advanced, more confounded by the polarities and variation of creation, suffering more from a sense of abandonment from the eternal self, and stuck in the conflict between the survivalism that pervades the material consciousness and the eternal grace from which their soul was hewn. Soul transmits its signature through the heart. Emotion is the very currency of a spirit. The emotion that spreads through the heart, that is released to creation, is a lens through which the creative signature and light from the greater soul is imparted to creation in this world. The heart either attains a profound level of intimacy and grace through which the creative chord is allowed to reverberate in consciousness, or the heart adds dissonance that scrambles the creative chord like static would scramble a signal on a radio. All dissonance that is released must eventually be redeemed. All emotional impressions that are released within a paradigm of a thought form. Every thought form is a byproduct of an angelic force operating on a heavenly tier. Every thought form. Thought form that catalyzes a release of profound emotion towards grace, love, intimacy, elevates angelic presence to advocate for the greater spirit of man. Emotion that is released through dissonance empowers angelic presence relating to the dissonant thought form. These angelic agencies work to obscure the eternal nature and illumination of the consciousness of mankind. And they mandate hierarchy and control, dominion and division. At all times, in each moment, man is free to choose. How much do I choose to love? At all times. There is no one and nothing that can limit the poignancy of your love, that can modulate the sincerity of your love, that can hinder its power to evoke an illumination. At all times, no matter the circumstance, whether living in bounty or if a situation is bleak, the magnitude of an individual's heart when they choose to love profoundly, that love is authentic, that love is real, that love is alive. Every soul is a facet of a very profound and powerful expression of euphoric love. Every soul fragment descending into this realm comes from a place of the greatest intimacy and euphoria, and the contrast of the static, rigid, and cold world of apparent distance and division and divide is alien to the native state of the soul. At all times, the individual can choose how much to love. And through that love, converge with a powerful, powerful vibrancy of harmonics and love that exudes throughout the future, and bond with the spirit of that enhanced unity, and through it reach out to aspects of the self, past emotional fallout, fragments operating within the past. Reach out a hand. Say, we are the future. All is good. All is okay. And mitigate the emotional fallout that's filtering static and stagnation into each now. As you do so, retroactively, you'll find your spiritual capacity to harmonize, your sensitivity to the greater chorus of existence to be irrevocably enhanced. For in each instant that you witness is a convergence between the murky waters filtering into the past and the clarifying waters that are sweet filtering from the future. You are the arbiter. You work as a filter, choosing where does the momentum swing, which waters get obstructed, which waters get sweetened. All of it eventually will be uplifted. You have the option of being proactive. Passing the baton. Turning that chain, twisting it like a strand of DNA that when it twists, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter and closer and closer and closer between its poles until it is one. For we are all dancing within a cosmic instant from the perspective of the eternal. And creation is perpetually recreating that instant until it is one again. But the love that was there through inception was beautiful. The love that will be there through action is powerfully